Hello children, how are you all? Today we are going to start with the metaphysical poem Valediction Forbidding Mourning. So the last class I've introduced you about John Donne and the features of metaphysical poem, right? What are the features of metaphysical poem? Those are complex poems, obscure poems, high statements were there, and it had amorous poems, religious poems, and so on, right? And who used the term metaphysics for the first time? Dryden used the term. He criticized Donne and the metaphysical poets. And who popularized it? It was Samuel Johnson in Lives of English Poets. Don't forget these things. The heterogeneous ideas were yoked silence. Don't forget this. And yes, come on, let's get into the poem. A valediction forbidding mourning. Donne's contemporary, the English writer Zach Walton, tells us the poem dates from 1611. Poem was written in 1611. When Donne was about to travel to France and Germany, he wrote Valediction Forbidding Mourning for his wife and more. A valediction means a farewell speech. Forbidding, that is banning. Mourning. Mourn is a term associated with death, right? Expressing one's sorrow or grief at the time of death. So here, death, Donne has associated death with love. This is the love poetry. Like most of his poetry or most poetry of Donne's time, it did not appear in print in his lifetime. But it was circulated. It was circulated privately in manuscripts, and it was circulated privately in handwritten copies too. And his poetry was well known among literary London. Among literate Londoners, his poetry became well known. And the poem was published in 1633 in Songs and Sonnets. Poem was published in 1633 in Songs and Sonnets, just 2 years after Donne's death. And regarding the poem comforts the speaker's lover. Donne is speaking towards his wife at their temporary parting when he was about to go to Germany or France. And he says that they have to part calmly and quietly without any tears or protest. No tears, no protest. They have to part calmly and quietly. You can see many eyes filled with tears at the airports, no? And Donne is asking here never to express your sorrow in tears and protest at the time of parting. And speaker justifies also why he is saying no tears and protest, because he is saying that you have to remain calm, or you have to project your calmness. Why? Because they are sharing a holy love. Their love is not earthly bound. Their love is holy, even though their love is both sexual and spiritual in nature, but their love is holy. For holy love, for these temporary parting will not be much problem. And Donne treats their love as sacred, elevated above that of ordinary earthly lovers. He is very much differentiating his love that is sacred is differentiating his love from the love that share between ordinary earthly people. He argues that because the holy love gives them confidence, so they can really endure this parting. This holy love gives them confidence to endure this temporary separation. Remember, what is this temporary separation? Donne is going to visit France. He is just departing from his wife. He suggests that two of them possess a single soul that can never be divided, or have twin souls that are permanently connected together. And he suggests that they had a single soul through metaphysical conceits, through far-fetched images, comparisons. We are going to see certain comparisons that we are never expecting to compare with love. Just see the picture of a compass here. A valediction forbidding mourning. The poem ends with Donne's most famous metaphysical conceit. What is that? He argues for the lover's closeness. Donne and his wife are really in a close relationship, and their love is compared to what? That the two soles or the two legs of the feet, their love or their closeness is compared to the two legs of the compass. And that comparison is really inappropriate, or for others, they have not thought about that. A compass, a material thing, is compared with an abstract thing like love. It was really inappropriate for the readers at that time, but it was quite appropriate and suitable for the writer. And now comes, the poem is structured in 9 stanzas, and you have 4 lines in a stanza, and it follows iambic tetrameter. Iambic tetrameter. Iamb, that is foot of poetry, follows a pattern of unstressed syllable followed by stressed syllable. Unstressed, stressed. That is how you have to read the poem also. As virtuous men pass mildly away, you have to read in the form of unstressed followed by stressed syllable. As we are not quite familiar with reading poems with stress, right? But at that time, or even Londoners or people who are into English or native speakers, they follow stress patterns. And a tetrameter is the meter used, that is a line written in. Tetrameter will have 4 feet, 8 syllables. You have as virtuous, as virtuous men pass mildly away. 8 syllables you have, and 4 feet you have. So that is why tetrameter. And the stress pattern is unstressed, stressed. And the rhyme scheme for each stanza is an alternating AB, AB. Rhyme scheme is AB, AB. Just write in that paragraph away, A, go, B, say, A, and now, B. See the stress pattern, and whisper till their souls to go. 8 syllables you have, right? While some of their sad friends do say. 8 syllables you have. So tetrameter is the meter used. So 8 syllables. So one unstressed syllable and another stressed syllable forms a food. So together you have 4. For food you have and 8 syllables. So the first paragraph. As virtuous men pass mildly away and whisper to their souls to go, while some of their sad friends do say the breath goes now and some say no. The second line, take the second line. And whisper to their souls to go. How many syllables are there? And whisper to their souls to go. We got 8 syllables. Just mark unstressed and stressed. And unstressed, stressed forms one foot, write 1, and vis forms one foot. Per to, second foot. Their souls, third foot. To go, fourth foot. So together they have 4 feet with 8 syllables. That is why it is tetrameter. Okay, and we are coming into the poem. As virtuous men pass mildly away. It is beginning with as, like. A conceit is used, a simile. As virtuous men pass mildly away. He's just introducing an extended simile. He's going to compare death now. Virtuous men pass mildly away, pass away, death. And how he is saying that how do virtuous men pass? They pass mildly. Death is not traumatic for them because they pass mildly away. Due to their good nature, death also comes peacefully to them. He's speaking on the death of a man who's really virtuous. For virtuous men, death comes mildly, right? The author uses metaphor of a virtuous man here. Virtuous men is a metaphor here. And what does that significant? What does that indicate? The virtuous man passing away, that refers to his departure, his long departure. Virtuous man in his deathbed, he is passing away mildly. That refers to his departure to France. Virtuous men, they led good lives. So death, according to them, is not a terrifying thing. So they die mildly and whisper to their souls to go, and the body whispering to the souls to depart from the body, to depart to heaven. He's a religious person. And whispering, body is whispering their souls to depart, to leave the body. And here, death is so quiet for them. Death is not traumatic here. So here, some of their sad friends do say, breath goes now. And some say, no. The death is so quiet. Death of the virtuous man is so quiet. And in his deathbed, friends are also gathered. And some say that breath goes now, and some say no, it is not. It is really in a calm situation. Death is not traumatic for them because they are good in nature. Death comes peacefully to them. So let us melt, make no noise, no tear floods, no sigh tempest move. It were profanation of our joys to tell the lady our love. So let us melt and make no noise. He's speaking about the physical bond, the sexual relationship, the physical bond between the lovers may melt for time being. There will not be any physical bond between the lovers for some time because he is going for a tour, he's into a departure. The physical bond between the lovers will not be there for some time. The bond may melt for some time now, but don't cry, don't make any noise. The physical bond may melt now, but we are united by what? We are united by our soul. A soul have bond. Our two souls are connected by a bond of love. So don't cry. No tears, no sighs. He advises not to be like common lovers. He advises not to be like common people who just cannot bear physical separation, who cannot just live without sexual relationship, who cannot just bear physical separation. Because those people, their love only depends on the physical attraction, the physical bond, the bond or the love of the earth or the world, love of the world. The common people cannot bear the physical separation. So he is asking the lover not to be like common lovers. Okay? And so let us melt and make no noise, no tear floods, no sigh tempest move. Here, They need to be separated without any tears and sighs. See, we have reference of flood and tempest also. The first paragraph we saw, virtuous men pass mildly away. For them, death is not a terrifying thing, but floods and tempests cause death, right? But the death caused by flood and tempest is not quiet. It is terrifying. It is not silent. So he's saying that it would be like treating the sacred love and spiritual love with irreverence. If you are expressing love in terms of tears and sighs, it would be treating their sacred love with irreverence. See, tear and joy in a same line. Two paradoxical words, right? It would be a disrespect if you express your love in tears and sighs. They see love as really sacred and holy. They want to express their love, or they consider their love as really holy. When they separate, they wanted to get departed without the tear floods and sigh tempest of the normal people, of the shallow. He says that, he argues that he and his partner will not be stupid to expose their emotions to the laity or the common people. See, exposing their emotion, love emotion, in tears and sighs are common. So he says that he doesn't want to be like common people who express their love like this. There is no need for tears and sighs because they are connected with the soul. They united with the soul. They keep themselves, the emotions they keep themselves, they keep to themselves. He states that it would be a profanation or it would be a disrespect to their love, to their joy, to expose their love in tears and sighs. They will make no noise at the time of departure and will remain on the high ground or will remain on a high status above those consider their love as a common thing or just as a physical relationship. They will remain on the high ground because they are really different from those people. The speaker says that he and his lover is bidding farewell, but they are taking death as their model, or Donne is asking the lover to take death as the model, to part silently. The virtuous men are not afraid of death. We saw that, no? Good men accept death. They just go with the death and they ask, body asks soul to move on, to depart. The poet says to the lover to accept this separation. Let us melt. To accept this separation. The physical bond may get melt, but we are connected. Just accept this situation. They should not give in to the temptation to weep and sigh excessively and to create more noise. He's asking not to give in to that temptation to weep and to sigh excessively and to make noise. So he's saying grieving so openly will be like a disrespect to their private love or showcasing their love to ordinary people, grieving so openly. He's not supporting that. He wants a quiet separation, just like virtuous men depart from this world. Like that, he wants a quiet separation. The joy the both Donne and wife share is spiritual. it is holy. Definitely it is sexual. The joy here means spiritual love they share, sexual love they share, and the holiness. So, tear, flood, sigh, tempest, and joy all in a single sentence. Quite paradoxical images are there in a single sentence. That is the feature of metaphysical poetry. No poets ever thought before like that. Innovation of new thought, innovation of thought. And he says, to complain loudly with tears would be common to the laity people only, or to complain loudly with sighs at the time of separation is common to laity people. They should not be like that. They shouldn't be like that because they can bear separation. Dun and wife can bear separation as they are connected with their soul. This metaphor suggests that ordinary people doesn't understand the holiness and mystery of love. Ordinary people are connected with just their body. According to them, love is of worldly love. They are not connected by spirit. In contrast, Dun and wife is connected spiritually. Therefore, to make loud protest about the departure would be a disrespect, would be an irreverence, would be profane, as their joy is of holy union. And we can see they want to be alone to express their love. So he was just telling, expressing their love in a in noisy manner and all. It would be expressing to the laity. It would be a profanation. So inside that we can take a secondary meaning is that he wants um, a privacy, a sort of privacy in expressing the love, even tears or sighs. He want to express it privately, not by exposing it. So the wish to be alone, to be able to love privately, is a characteristic of Donne's poems. You can see the same type of privacy in Canonization, is one of his major poems, and also The Sun Rising. In Canonization, you can see that he wanted to be left alone with the lover, and also in Sun Rising, he is chiding the sun, calling it as busy old fool for disturbing him and his lover disturbing him and his lover. And the celebration of the private world of two lovers. So the secondary meaning we can take it as that they want to express all these violent emotions like tears, sighs and all, or their relationship and all, holiness of the relationship all in privately. And the celebration of this private world of the two lovers is really stands opposite to the conventions of Renaissance love poetry. Because according to Renaissance love poetry, the lover wishes to expose his love to the world, but he's standing against that. So they are getting together physically and spiritually. They got a bond which is physically and spiritually. So don't make any noise. Don't have tears. Don't not have any sighs. It will ruin the joy of their love if they express grieving in front of the common people. They cannot understand the noble love. Common people, they just expose their love, they just expose their tears and sighs at the time of departure because they don't know about the spiritual love. They cannot withstand the separation. John Donne here uses floods to compare with tears and tempests to compare with sighs. Hyperbole he has used. Flood to compare with tears. Deliberately he has exaggerated. Tears to floods and sighs to tempest. Natural calamities are used to compare to this love relationship. He uses this kind of emotional outbreak too, that is a fear, tears, floods, and sigh, tempest. He uses these words to express the emotional outbreak of common people. They are common people, lay people different from clergy. Laity are those who different from clergy. And the reaction to their separation, so as to highlight how refined his love is. He wants to show his love is refined, polished. His love is really refined. So he will not express their love in terms of tear, floods, and sigh tempest. But lay people express their love in tears and sighs at the time of separation, because their love is connected with the body. Physical love they share, but John Donne and wife share spiritual love. They cannot be separated. Even though they are separated physically, they will always remain connected. And speaker here convinces the woman by telling that departure will not change their love, because their love is based on assurance of minds. It is not based on the body, but it is based on minds, it is based on soul. The author also tells the reader that their love is noble. The author also tells readers that their love is noble. Moving of the earth brings harms and fears. Men reckon what it did and meant, but trepidation of the spears, though great afar, is innocent. We have the reference of the earth, moving of the earth, brings harms, earthquakes, natural earthly disturbance, such as earthquake, hurts and scares human beings, because it causes death, it takes life. It is horrifying, it is terrific, it is not silent. In the first paragraph, we had the reference of death, which was silent, which that doesn't cause any noise. Second paragraph, we had flood and tempest, the reference of death, but it is of terrifying. The third paragraph too, earthquakes, it is not silent, it is traumatic. Earthquakes cause great destruction and create great wonder. Men will think upon it, reckon on earthquake or what the earthquakes did, and confusion was created among human beings. At the time, 17th century, when he was writing, early 17th century, science was not progressed much. So men would definitely reckon on the movement of the earth. Ordinary people notice these events, earthquakes, that are happening around them and wonder what they mean, how it is caused. But trepidation of the spears, though greater far, is innocent. However, the movements of the heavens or movement of the other planets, solar system, movement of Mercury, Venus, movement of moon, other heavenly beings or earthly being, not other planetary planets, while being larger and but more significant because it influences the earth, it influences the season. The movement of those spheres go unnoticed by most people. People unnoticed the movement of the spears. The trembling or the vibration of the whole universe, the movement is more significant and it is also more innocent. We cannot see or feel the movement of the spears because it is an heavenly event, greater, innocent. And Dunn here uses a Ptolemaic model of the cosmos, that is, in which each planet surrounding the earth at the center, and each planet surrounds the earth. And he's saying the movement of these spheres is more significant, but it go unnoticed by the common people. And I told you, this paragraph introduced another natural disaster, earthquake. It is something men reckon upon it because it is unexplained at that time. Earthquakes bring harms and fears to the people. And these lines, we can say, have added to emphasize the absurdity of making a big deal over speaker's departure. Absurdity. Why these images into this love poem at the time of departure? Complexity, obscurity, right? Meanings are uncertain, confusing the readers. Yeah, trepidation of spheres. It refers to the celestial spheres in which moon, stars, and planets are moving. They will shake and vibrate according to their movements. Their speaker is describing their trepidation or shaking here. And this trepidation or shaking is unseen. We are not actually experiencing it. And this is another metaphor, metaphysical conceit, for how the speaker sees his relationship, his love, and how it is not the showy earthquake. Earthquake people can feel. It is not, their love is not the showy earthquakes, but are more powerful. It's like shaking of the celestial spheres. And people see harms and fears caused by earthquakes. But the movement of the spheres, trepidation of the spheres causes more influences. But people do not notice it. The author implies the terrifying earthquakes as the physical departure of those laity people. Their departure would be like that, terrifying earthquakes, violent, make noise, violent, protesting and all. And the movement of the spheres, trepidation of the spheres, metaphor, far-fetched, metaphysical conceit, trepidation of spheres to the spiritual departure of his lover and him, silent, innocent, spiritual departure of his lover and him. We can think that earthquakes mean the love between the laity people, as when earthquakes happen, changes are happening around us. Like when the laity people at the time of separation, their love also changes as their love is imperfect, not noble. But Donne considers his love and his lover's love is far greater and superior. So he compares his love to the innocent and harmless movement of the spheres, of the celestial things. And he thinks their love is spiritual, and the long distance between he and his lover will not and cannot change their love. Dull sublunary lovers love, whose soul is sense, cannot admit absence, because it doth remove those things which elemented it. In the earlier paragraph, we saw heavenly vibrations which are of innocent or far superior, and earthly vibrations which brings damage and destruction. And we can say maybe it was anticipating a contrast in this paragraph. Here he is talking about earthly lovers are directed by physical bond, sex or sexual relation, but lovers like Donne and his lover, they depend on spiritual love. That is why maybe the author describes the love of the common man or the laity people as dull and sublunary. People in this time believed that the surface below the moon is imperfect, and he thinks their love is not stable. Whose love? Love of common people, love of laity people, laymen, which is not clergy. Their love is not stable, and their love is based only on physical, or we can say sexual. Physical elements, sexual elements were prominent. And speaker moves from, in the earlier paragraph, like earthly events and heavenly events, and he is just moving out of that to talk about earthly love with the experience he and his lover share. In the stanza, he says earthly lovers cannot endure separation. They cannot be separated, or they can be separated, but they cannot endure the separation because they are united physically. Their souls are not connected. That is why they cannot endure separation. The soul or essence of such ordinary sublunary lovers is sense. That means their love is based on five senses. Love is directed by the five senses. So it consists of sexual attraction, senses, touch, skin, senses to see, to hear, to taste. Their love is based on senses, whose soul is sense. Quite obscure, right? The soul or essence of such ordinary, such sublunary lovers is sense. Dull people, their love depends on the sense of sexual attraction. So when they separate, when they are removed, their love will also fades like moon. Their love will just fade. See, in the belief of Donne's day was that changes occurred in that which existed beneath the moon, or changes or mutability only occurred in the space which existed beneath the moon. And earlier times, the picture was that Earth was the center of the universe, and the moon, the sun, the planets were all revolving round the Earth. The moon is the first circle out from the earth. All the changes takes place in that space. Changes takes place in the space of moon. Beyond moon, the other spheres are immutable. They will not change. That was the belief of 17th century, early 17th century. And they saw change was seen as a sign of imperfection. Imperfections bring change. So sublunary, their changes are happening. That is imperfect. The changes also happen in the lives of ordinary people. Their love will change. even if they are departed, if they are separated. Dull sublunary lovers love, which depends on sense. I told you, sense. It cannot last long. It is changeable. Their love will be faded away with the lover's absence. The absence will be the elements to ruin their love. In the absence, there can be other elements that will ruin their love, like other people's presence, or they may get attracted to several other things like people, or other household things, or any other things. They can get involved into any other things. The absence will be the elements that will fade their love. Boring, common people feel a kind of love because it depends on sensual connection. They can't handle separation. Common people, laity people cannot handle separation because being physically apart will fades away their love. Physically apart means their physical bond also will be stagnant for some days or for some time, and in that physical bond their love is depended on. And if they don't have any physical relationship, their love will fades away. But the speaker and his lover, their love is not based on physical bond. They are connected by soul. The speaker returns, uh, he describes lesser love, or the love of other people, quality less love of other people, dull love of other people in the stanza. Dull and sublunary meaning, I told you, exist under the moon rather than in the sky. Sublunary space, always changing, imperfect. And those who participate in these dull relationships are driven by their senses. Senses will bring them attraction. The soul of the relationship is based on what one's senses can determine. Sense plays very important role in the relationship of the earthly lovers. The touch, to see, to hear, to taste, to smell. All these senses are important in the love relationship of earthly lovers, and so they cannot endure physical separation. But Dun and the lover are in a spiritual connection. Their love is not driven by senses. They cannot admit, the common people or laity people cannot admit absence because it will remove the entire relationship. It will fades away the entire relationship. Everything shallow lovers or common lovers have with one another, that is based on the sense, that is based on touch, that is based on sight, and so on. And we think that in the earlier paragraph we saw earthquake means the love between the laity people, that is their love changes quickly and those are imperfect love. But the love of Dun and wife is of far superior, of trepidous peers. That is, their love is far superior. Their movement is unnoticeable, innocent. Like that, their love goes. That is what we talked in the fourth stanza. No, third stanza. I'm sorry, third stanza. The author again describes the love as dull and sublunary. Then he thinks their love is not stable and is based on the unity of physical element, sexual element. The love of common people is based on sexual element. He considers his love as far greater and superior. And I told you he compares his love to the innocent and harmless movement of the spheres. You have to connect with the earlier stanzas. Okay, not we are studying one stanza for this particular time. You have to connect earlier stanzas. The love of Dunn and wife is spiritual, so the long departure between the lover and him will not and cannot change their love. So this is it for today's class, and we will continue with the rest of the paragraphs in the next class. Thank you.